Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Knut Weston. I'm your facilitator today, and my only job is to introduce Gerry Copeland from Belfast, and to remind you that there are some evaluation sheets in front here. Please fill them in and leave them on the table there before you leave after Gerry. Interesting topic. I think municipalities all over the world put a lot of effort into cultural events, cultural activities, often called city events, to make themselves attractive for growth and for other in the industries to prosper in their city, in their municipality. And Belfast is no exception from that. With the good help of Gerry Copeland, who for nearly 20 years has helped deliver many of the iconic events in the city of Belfast. Along with his colleagues in Belfast City Council Events Unit and Belfast Harbour, from who Kevin just came in. There we go. Welcome. Assisted in bringing over 500,000 people to the tall ship races last year. So I hand over to Gerry. Unfortunately, Max from Gothenburg had some other urgent tasks to attend to, so I had to cancel, but I'm sure Gerry will keep us alert. Gerry.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Knut. Good evening, everyone. Last shift of the day, as they say. Hopefully still suitably awake, energized. Hopefully you've enjoyed the sessions, both the morning and afternoon sessions. As Knut says, Max from Gothenburg can't make it, so I'm going to do the next 5 hours for you, okay? So hopefully you're sitting comfortably, so I shall begin. So I think we all know that as Knut already said, that all cities try to position themselves, and all cities try to direct themselves to a point where they make a distinct difference, basically against the competition as such. And again, as already mentioned, we are no different. But I think each city has its own kind of unique character. Each city has its own unique proposition as such, and it's trying to find that and put that across, not just on a domestic scale, but also on a national and, of course, on an international scale. What I really want to show you in my presentation is how large-scale international events, can drive tourism, can support local businesses, deliver community engagement and community input as well, but also how basically the international events can also offer an attraction for a city in relation to profiling the city's brand itself, but also creating elements like inward investment. Can we bring, it's beyond the confines of the woolly stuff that is about events. Can we actually bring hard industry, creating jobs? Can we play our part in that role as well? But also that means that can we then create both economic and also social wealth as such. I think one of the key things about Belfast, and I love this kind of dot map that we've got here, is that we're a very, very, very small speck on a global stage. That probably dot is far too big to represent the city that I'm from. And so we need to make sure that we stand out in some form. And so if you think we're a small dot in relation to the global scale itself, we're still a small dot in the grand scheme of things in relation to Europe as well. What we really want to do is make sure that how we can get to an audience, how we can actually contact an audience that really is addressed through the area that I have to work in, along with my colleague Kevin Grant, the area of events as such. If I ask you one question, I'm not going to ask too much for audience participation. You can all go, thank God for that. I'm sure, how many have actually knew Belfast outside the confines of tall ships? Anybody heard of Belfast outside the confines of tall ships? Okay, right. So it's a lot of nodding heads, or even a few arms go back. She was been very good pupil. Andy, back in school, hands went straight up away. So it's a case of, we're small in the context of Europe. We're also basically very small in the context, even within the context of the British Isles itself. We are, sitting there up in the sort of top right-hand corner of the island of Ireland. And if you compare us in relation to a population size, we're roughly about the actual municipality, I love that term, council area, as we call it back home, is about 300,000 people. So I'm sure we could obviously relate to cities in our own countries, across Europe, across the world, that are akin to that. Some of those maybe could be capitals, but in reality, we are basically about half the size of Dublin. We're certainly about a fifth the size of the city of Birmingham, if we look in the context of the British Isles. And we're smaller than the cities of Edinburgh, and we're also smaller than Portsmouth and even Bristol. So as an entity, as I say, our scale and size is quite small. So it's back to how do we actually physically get noticed. So you can see from all those little kind of maps that Belfast, size-wise, we're tiny in relation to where we sit in relation to our geographic isolation. We need to get noticed. We need to make sure that we do things that allows us to get our brand, get our profile across. And one way basically to do that is to use the tools that are at our own disposal. What is Belfast famous for? Currently, Belfast has a range of offerings that allows us to sort of work with our colleagues in our inward investment team, has a range of offerings that works with our colleagues in relation to job creation, work with our colleagues in relation to community development, work with our colleagues in our university so we can bring international students to the city. And in many ways, what we want to do is use the kind of what we now see as our famous particular elements and how we can actually combine those and put those across. So we're famous for a few things, and I'll take you through sort of a few particular options. And I like this one because it certainly comes back to what why we're here. We're all about the sea, we're about maritime as such. Back in 1912, cast your mind back, okay? Probably Seamus McLaughlin was maybe 4 then in Dublin. It's a very bad of mine, so yes, shocking. 1912, Belfast produced what was then the biggest single man-made moving object in the world, was the RMS Titanic. Okay, what did it do? It sank on its first voyage. Now, there's the issue with that first straight away from me, because I think we had an Irish-built ship, and we give it to an English captain. But we also give it an English captain for those people that obviously maybe know geography of England. The English captain came from that well-known maritime city called Stoke-on-Trent. Now, Stoke-on-Trent is a small town in the centre of England, nowhere near the sea, but yes, John Smith, the captain of the RMS Titanic, came from there. But one thing we knew when certainly working with Kevin, one thing we knew that there was a story behind the whole Titanic tale. There's the Hollywood movie that was a huge blockbuster, and globally it raised the kind of word Titanic to the fore, put it in front of people's minds as such. So, along with Kevin, we decided, quite perversely, to try to basically commemorate but also celebrate the people who actually built the ship, and those people who also died as part of the disaster as well. So there's great stories actually with Kevin and I when our first Titanic festival. We got literally cardboards. We started to stick things on cardboards. We had a budget, what, Kev? £30,000. Something very, very small. And we created our own little exhibition. And that weekend attracted around about 10,000 people. And we knew straight away there was something within that itself. We knew that there was something that was catching people's imaginations. And from that, and literally that is the platform, from that, we then, many years later, built this £100 million visitor attraction. Now, yes, the short life of Titanic is about a ship that was built, was called unsinkable, it sank. But it was the ingenuity, it was the creativity, it was the people behind the whole process. And that's what that attraction is about. In its first year, it attracted 1 million visitors. Now, that's pretty remarkable. Again, back to what we talked about, where we come from in relation to our isolation, in relation to our very, very, very small place, 300,000 people, 1 million visitors. But the other actual statistic attached to that as well, over 50% of those visitors were not from Belfast or Northern Ireland. They came from other parts of the island of Ireland, and they came from across the world. So we knew that we have basically an industry that we could develop and profile. We could use it as our brand development as such. Now, this year, Europe's winning tourist attraction, right across, voted by various organisations, various elements of the tourism industry, voted this attraction as the best tourist attraction in Europe. So better than the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, better than the Eiffel Tower, better, can I say, how many Swedish people are here? The Vasa Museum in Sweden, better than the Stockholm Palace as well. So, I mean, that's a phenomenal particular attraction in itself. So it's a brand that we have. It's unique to the city. Yes, the city, the actual ship was registered in Liverpool. Minor detail. It basically sailed out of Southampton, but the actual story, the amount of time it spent, was in the city. So in that building, you will find lots of people stories across it. It reflects the ship. It reflects a lot more in relation to Belfast. It actually tells many of the tales of Belfast itself. So that's one element that we're basically certainly famous for. Another thing we're famous for is this lovely big dome building. That's our boss's office. That's where our Lord Mayor sits. That's where our Chief Executive sits. It's City Hall, built in 1906, and it attracts around about 100,000 visitors a year. It's a fantastic building, completely out of scale and size of Belfast today, built by our Victorian forefathers. But again, it's a symbol of the city, and has basically seen and witnessed many of the key historical moments in the last 100 years or so. It has seen political agreements signed. It has seen royal monarchs visit and US presidents also visit. Not quite sure if Donald J. Trump's going to come, but we'll see. And beyond even the confines of Belfast, we have this place. Anybody see this place? Giant's Causeway? Anybody been? No. It is Northern Ireland's only UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is a formation of volcanic hexagonal stones. It's run by an organisation called the National Trust, which is a not-for-profit organisation which is about maintaining both built and natural heritage. It's a stunning location to see. And at that, very close by, is the world's oldest whisky distillery, Bushmills, which dates back to 1609. It's not a bad little combination to have in relation to other kind of attractions in itself. There's a great kind of mythology story behind the Giant's Causeway as well, because the whole sort of scientific process is that these are volcanic rocks. They cooled and they created into hexagonal blocks. The mythology with it is about an Irish and a Scottish giant who wanted to fight each other, so they started to create a causeway between Scotland and Ireland, and of course the Irish giant won. And then he broke up the causeway on the way back. So that's the kind of myth. So that's another brand that we have, and if you see a lot of the organisations in Northern Ireland, they actually use that kind of hexagonal look as part of their brand look and feel as well. But it's also an element that we're actually certainly famous for. Another element that we're famous for, and again it's back to kind of work that we've done in the council, is the whole sort of port and its maritime heritage. We've got great partners in Belfast Port, and over the years we've been able to develop various elements to make the harbour more attractive to visitors. We have not just the £100 million Titanic visitor attraction, we also have the White Star Line's last remaining vessel in the world, I think called the SS Nomadic, which is a passenger tender built for the Titanic. It sits in its original dry dock. It's been completely renovated and brought back to its full glory. Just down the road from it, we have one of only 4 First World War vessels left in the world, HMS Caroline. It's also significant that it's the last and one and only vessel that has basically survived the Battle of Jutland from the First World War. And it sits in the heart of Belfast Harbour as well. And then there's a huge array of other elements, the Titanic slipways, the original drawing offices where thousands of ships were created, all being renovated and all being basically developed into a new area. And if you add into that sort of new modern additions in the port area, you have brand new apartments that should be worth certainly anything in the region of about £500,000 upwards for those at waterfront apartments. We have a brand new SSE arena, which seats 11,000 people. We have really turned our eyes back to the water, and we know that's another asset, another brand that we need to work with. And events do that as well. We bring people to those locations, we engage with people, they see these assets, they see what's available in relation to the city itself. So we think we're now famous for our maritime heritage because we've been able to start to celebrate it as well. Game of Thrones. Anybody watch Game of Thrones? No? Nobody? Yeah. Come on. Yeah? Good. We got one. Okay, right. So you're 1 to 3. Good. Any advanced? Like an auction here. Okay. So you three guys are part of an audience that's like 20 million people watch Game of Thrones. It is a hugely popular series. And believe it or not, over half of the scenes that you see are actually either filmed in Belfast, just outside Belfast, in the region of it. You wouldn't think it when you look at basically some of the scenery. You think it's somewhere much colder, somewhere that's completely different from maybe the images that you have of basically my home city itself. So it is significantly important for us because it's a brand new industry. It's a brand new industry because it's built around the film industry, and there's not so many spin-offs that have come off that. Oh, what happened? Was me, honestly. Didn't touch any. Oh, right, go. Just mentioned Game of Thrones. So when you see kind of images of this is a thing called the Dark Ages. So when you see kind of images, what is it, the Seven Kingdoms as such, you have these kind of images. And one of the kind of strange stories of this, there's now hundreds of thousands of people who come to Belfast because of the Game of Thrones. And one of the kind of slightly sad stories is that this Dark Ages, so many people are stopping to take photographs of this. The roots along the trees are starting to be worn down to the point where people actually think the trees are going to collapse as such. So they actually have to take some kind of action. But again, kind of proves that there's something there. But again, we're using that kind of Game of Thrones brand. We're working with the British film industry to start to develop others. We've invested in brand new studios as well. And that's a new asset for us and a new brand that we certainly put forward. So it really puts, those kind of things put Belfast very much on the map. It shows us that we're on the up. It shows that we're looking forward. It shows that hopefully we've got a very, very positive future. But also hopefully it allows us to learn from our past. So I asked you earlier about how many people knew Belfast outside the confines of tall ships and a few nodding heads, a few hands, Andy at the back. We've got a very, very strange past. We have a pretty dark past as such, pretty ominous, pretty negative. So a lot of people would have basically seen images like this. So I'll just play this for you.
An IRA booby trap explodes shortly after a woman soldier is shot. The patrol involved arrests 2 men and recovers a loaded rifle. And another man is detained as police foil an apparent loyalist murder attempt. Good evening, you're watching UTV Live at 6 on Wednesday, January the 12th. On a day when the security forces have been subject to another IRA attack, the Minister for Defence, Malcolm Rifkin, has been visiting Northern Ireland. He's not been the only visitor today. 3 Labour MPs have come here to meet local politicians. And we'll have reaction to that decision by the Duchess of Kent to leave the Church of England and become a Catholic. But first, with the main news, here's Pamela Valentine.
Good evening. An unarmed woman soldier has been shot and seriously injured in a sniper attack in the New Lodge area this afternoon. And several people have been injured as a bomb exploded less than an hour later in the house used by the gunmen. 2 men were arrested after the gun attack and a loaded rifle was recovered near the scene. Police say only good fortune saved lives in the bomb blast after the shooting.
Spamount Street 50 minutes after the sniper attack, and soldiers and sniffer dogs moved cautiously into the area to examine the house used by the gunmen. Those troops now know if they'd gone in even seconds earlier, they would now probably be dead. For as they approached the house, a bomb inside exploded, demolishing the building. In the shock and confusion, stunned soldiers at first didn't seem quite sure what to do, but a cursory examination of the rubble established that no one had been trapped underneath. The soldiers were quickly ordered to the back of the house in pursuit of anyone who might have detonated the bomb. Back on Spamount Street, bewildered children who'd been only yards away from the explosion ran to the sanctuary of their own homes. Local people who'd still been inside their houses when the bomb exploded were led away to safety. Almost forgotten in the turmoil, the plight of the young woman soldier who'd been shot in the sniper attack in the street. The unarmed Royal Military Police woman had been part of a joint RUC and Army patrol around 3 o'clock. She was hit in the face and back by several bursts of shots from a house in Spamount Street.
Okay, so bit of a dark moment. Yeah. So the 1991 video is strange because at that time it was also the year that Tall Ships came. So it's a totally juxtaposition, and I'm going to play you a little video because Tall Ships in 1991 was its first visit to Belfast. It was also a really almost a pivotal moment in relation to how both government and society looked at how they could engage with the population, both in Belfast and Northern Ireland. I'm going to play, this is an advertising video of a cultural programme that was put together for right across the year of 1991 to promote various activities. And you'll see and hear that Tall Ships are mentioned in this.
Tell the world when you go home that Belfast is out on its own. The year of 1991 is the year to relax and have some fun. You know it's always handsome, grand and pretty. Oh, what a vibrant, friendly city. Proud of its people, warm and true. Belfast is for me and you.
And it's the place to be, particularly in 1991. The best of Belfast is a year of celebration of all that is best in this great city, with lots of events, from tall ships to tiny tots, from world roses to local flowers. So come on, Belfast, show your pride, and have a great time doing it.
From Oakhill to Belfast Lock, the salt of the earth and solid as a rock. East or west, wherever you go, the most you'll want to get to know.
Belfast 1991, a year.
There you go. So just think the two videos got quite different, but I think the big difference was really the event at Tall Ships, and that cultural programme was put together was really what was a catalyst for change. It was a catalyst that basically said there was more to the city than what was going on in relation to the streets and the violence as such. There are a lot of other particular elements that were put together in relation to it. There were balloon festivals done, there was music concerts put together. But the one that people remember is this from a painting that sits in our Harbour Commissioners in Belfast, was the Tall Ships in 1991, where I think it was something like 300,000 people came into a very, very small part of the harbour and celebrated in the way that many other cities across Europe had the opportunity to do so. And that was the kind of distinct brand difference at the time. We needed to actually push ourselves, but it was almost a revelation that we could do it through the mechanism of international events. And that's what Tall Ships actually did in relation to the city. So if you ask anybody of a certain generation, Seamus, you're still there? Good.
It's my hair still growing.
They will tell you that one of the key things was literally Tall Ships. It will sit with people's minds, whether they're school kids who are brought along to go and see a Tall Ship. I think Darmajurski's there on the right-hand side as I look at it. And they still hold that kind of memory very, very, very dearly. So it just shows that what can be done through the process of certainly staging international events. And certainly one thing that we've learned over the years that both Kevin and I and our colleagues in the harbour have is that Tall Ships really is a formula for success. Done in the right way, developed in the right way, it can make a significant difference when it comes in. But it has to be integrated within the overall city's offering. It just can't be seen as an isolation. It has to be part of the tourism package. You need to work with your national tourism industry, your regional tourism industry. It has to be something more than just the 3-4 days there. It has to be more, dare I say it, in front of Sail Training International than just about the trainees. No, it has to be more that's something that you can put together. So in 2015, Belfast City Council put £1.3 million into its Tall Ships project. The total cost of the project was £2.3 million. Government, both local and national, across the world, no matter where you're from, want to know where their money's going, and they want to make sure that they get something from it. And Tall Ships certainly provides that success as such, but it does much more than putting filling bed spaces and anything else. There is a kind of connectivity. There's a kind of opportunity then to develop. But again, as I mentioned, it has to be done through a process of brand development. It has to be connected into it. It has to reflect where you are going. So it just cannot be just dropped in as an event for 4 days and there's nothing else either leads from it or before it. It doesn't necessarily have to be a maritime festival. It doesn't have to be basically maritime related, but there may be other offerings that you do need to put together. And the other thing we find about tall ships is that it's a real relationship builder. Now, whether it's the kind of list that I've got up on screen there, whether it's our emergency services, whether it's our harbour police, it could be our health trust. Do we need to supply nurses and doctors to make sure that we do the event safely? It could be our regional road authority who help us give us access into the harbour and keep road works offline until the event is over. Whether it's our tourism colleagues to making sure that they're promoting the right message and they're dealing with the right kind of calls to action as such that come through these events. So tall ships is an extremely important relationship builder. And as I say, on so many levels, because again, both national and regional government want to make sure this thing works, and it's got to be more than just about the economic impact itself. Certainly for Belfast, tall ships as such is a real confidence booster. It allows us as a city to link into so many other elements that maybe we don't normally do as such. In 2015, the total economic returns for tall ships, and I said it is more than just about the economic factor, was £16 million. So it certainly balances up when we put £2.3 million of expenditure and we get 16 million back in the local economy. It assists us. It allows us then to say, look, we can do this again. It allows us to put the begging bowl back out there for local government. But again, government will want to see that this whole process is actually integrated as well. We had 520,000 visitors. So again, back to the top end of the conversation, our presentation, since you're usually not talking, I am. It's a case of, 300,000 people in Belfast, 520,000 people arrived down onto your harbour. How do you manage those and else? But again, it's such a huge endorsement of the event that so many people would turn up at the event itself. And for us in relation to it boosts so many things, and it boosts the restaurants in the city, it boosts the hoteliers, the general hospitality industry. It boosts our citizens, and it actually brings our citizens together, regardless of their cultural backgrounds, regardless of their national identities. It brought many people from not just across Belfast, across Northern Ireland, but across the island of Ireland and much further afield. Around about 18% of our visitors were out-of-state visitors. It means that they did not come from Northern Ireland. Again, bringing new people to the city, basically showcasing things like the Titanic visitor attraction, and showing that what we have to offer in relation to the city is much more than just about tall ships as such. So it was very, very important that we use events like this and other international events as a real confidence booster for Belfast. Also, tall ships is a real skills enhancer. It's amazing the number of people who get involved, the number of moving parts, and I look around the room, so many people are involved in delivering tall ships, and whether it's Kristiansand or whether it's Turku or it's Liverpool or Dublin. We all know what it takes to bring the event together, but all the public want to do is just turn up. It's like driving on your road. All you want to do is drive on the road. You don't want to know how it got there. You don't know what the investment was. You just want to make sure you come down, you enjoy yourself, and you walk away happy. That's it. But the skills to do that are immense. And one of the sort of little examples that I have in front of me here is the accountants. We've a great group of internal accountants who keep us right. Any accountants in the room, by the way, before I start to say bad things about them? Probably not. I don't think we have too many accountants at the Sail Training International Conference, but there should be. Our internal accountants looked after our not-for-profit limited company we set up to do tall ships in 2015. And even our accountants said they learned new things. And to hear that from an accountant, it's fantastic. Now, he also tells us the books are balanced. It's also fantastic. But that's just one little example. And you take the 520 volunteers that we had who were given specific roles, and we developed roles with an organisation called Volunteer Now. Again, allowing us to engage with people that we normally wouldn't engage with, but also allowing skills to be developed, allowing people to buy into the Belfast brand, allowing people to support Belfast and its development, allowing people to actually show Belfast in a very, very positive way. And there's the old commercial world. I look again around the room. Some people maybe think do this better than us, but we had Lidl as our key sponsor, and I cannot speak highly enough, certainly of Lidl Ireland. Incredible organisation to work with. £150,000 worth of cash they give us, and then they also support us with marketing, which total value is on about £350,000 of value we got from Lidl. But it also allowed us then to work with other organisations. Stena is in there, and again, great part of the world, Scandinavia. I think Swedish, yes, Stena are, I think, yeah. Wonderful company, fantastic company. But we're also in there with the BBC. We have BBC, who are an incredible organisation to work with, and again, an amazing global brand. And I'm going to show you another little video now, which is pretty quick, to show what the BBC did for us. And so this video I'm going to show you, just get it up here, is from a programme called The One Show. It goes out at prime time across the midweek. This show from Belfast was the most viewed One Show during 2015. Live, it had 5 million people watch this show, which was totally dedicated to Belfast. How much did it cost us? Nothing. BBC not only did this show, but they also put it on the quayside, probably somewhere in the region, we estimate about £250,000 to £350,000 of interactive displays as well, which engaged with the public, brought people down. There's another kind of call to action, helped us entertain so many people who are coming down. But I'll play this and I'll just give you an idea. Oh no, back again. Apologies. Just show you page. Come on. Save me in technology.
Ahoy there!
Tonight we've climbed on board this magnificent 260-foot vessel that's part of the annual 59th Tall Ships Race, which starts this year here in Belfast.
It's time to splice the main brace. It's time to batten down the hatches and set a course for the weekend. But honestly, I actually don't know how we're going to get down.
No idea. Welcome to your Friday Night One Show, live from Belfast with Captain Evans.
And Abel Seaman Jones, and here we are, we've swapped the studio for this gorgeous ship. It is the Bouquet Escuela White Ass, yes? Yes.
You've got it
right. All right, hit it, boys, hit it out. Now this not-so-little beauty has travelled 6,000 miles from Ecuador, South America, down to Belfast, and that's just to be here tonight, just for the start of the race.
And she's not alone. Now the harbour here is teeming with tall ships and sailors from all over the world. Over there are the slipways, the famous yellow Harland and Wood frames first. Then over there, the slipways where the Titanic was built, which is now an amazing visitor attraction. And right next door, by the way, the home of Game of Thrones. So we may or may not see a dragon at some point.
Really? Is that how it works?
Maybe.
Okay, but for now, let's hear from the Broken String Band! They're great. We're going to have those later.
We'll have great.
There you go. And I say, if you put in the context that cost us nothing, and they BBC bought into the brand. And another element that the BBC assisted was, they actually produced a regional show as well that went out, which was targeted again right across the island of Ireland as well. So we estimate somewhere around about 700,000 people, 5.5 million to sort of 6 million people actually would have seen Belfast without actually going to it. Showcasing the Titanic, referencing the Game of Thrones. So if you didn't believe me about Game of Thrones, the BBC said it must be true. So all in there, and as I say again, allowing us to basically develop a platform that we could, and show Belfast and basically in a very, very positive light. But international events, we've been doing them for quite some time. There are so many different elements that we have around international events. So international events have allowed us to work with the likes of UEFA, Next year we'll have a women's tournament, a European women's tournament in Belfast. And we're talking to our regional Irish Football Association. Could we host the senior women's European Championships? I think we were in Sweden a couple of years ago. Could we look at that in the future? We've worked with the IAAF in relation to athletics. We've hosted the World Cross Country Championships. Is there another opportunity to do it? There's a World Half Marathon Championships. So the IAAF know where Belfast is. It's maybe 30 years ago they wouldn't have looked at us sideways. So it's very, very important to us. And again, it provides cameras, it brings eyeballs, it brings people to recognise the city and its brand itself. International Amateur Boxing Association, we've also hosted the World Amateur Boxing Championships. And I know lots of cities that we have here and some of the other delegates are from bigger cities and they can host much bigger events. But these are very important cities, again, because it brings cameras, it brings attention, it brings media to us. And it shows that we can stage events that allow us to promote what we're about and our brand and look at things like inward investment. We use that as part of our portfolio. We use that as part of our CV as such. So it goes, obviously, beyond just what we're talking about, tall ships as such. The Giro d'Italia back in 2014 started in Belfast. Now, I think similarly it was in Denmark maybe a couple of years before ourselves. But again, incredible TV coverage across Eurosport, across the US as such. An amazing event to have, and we shared that with our colleagues in Dublin as well. So it was basically showcasing both sides of the island of Ireland as well. An amazing event to stage. Brought in around about £14 million worth of additional economic activity just on the northern half of things. I'm not quite sure what the impact was in relation to Dublin itself. My favourite, MTV, the European Music Awards, were staged in Belfast. One of the most incredible facts out of that was that we had both live and recorded in various sections. This is the live concert that was outside Belfast City Hall. The award ceremony took place in the SSE Arena, which I mentioned earlier. Total audience figures from our media analysis, both from MTV, Viacom, who are the owners of MTV, and other media outlets. 1 billion people saw Belfast in some form, and an extremely positive light. And total cost for us, £840,000. Incredible value for money. So again, we've got a great partnership with MTV. We keep talking to them. We're trying to find other kind of MTV events that we could certainly stage. But again, an incredible global platform for Belfast to have. I like this one as well. Right. So go back to the two kind of dark, ominous videos. I think called the World Police and Fire Games. Anybody heard of it? Oh, okay. It is probably the third biggest mass participatory sports event in the world. We had 7,000 law enforcement officers. Now you think back to the old video, police officers in Belfast, along with emergency services people, so ambulance, firefighters, all in Belfast. They stayed 8.5 days. These are guys and women who are very much middle income people across no matter what country they're from, whether from Chile. And I like this photograph because where would you see the Netherlands, Monaco, Mongolia, and Mexico all in the one shot? So 7,000 emergency services people from around the world, from 60 countries, came to the World Police and Fire Games. It generated around about £14 million again for Belfast's economy. And again, it left some amazing images and also dropped them into the mindset of a lot of police officers, a lot of people who went back to their countries, went back to Chile, went back to Argentina, went back to Australia, New Zealand, went back to Indonesia and said, well, you know what? I'm going to go on holiday. Maybe I'll go to Ireland and maybe I'll go to Belfast. So again, an amazing opportunity for us in relation to staging that. So it's not maybe the most profile. It didn't maybe get the media attention that. Certainly got media attention within the UK, but it's not going to be Olympics. It's not going to be the Commonwealth Games type process. But it is certainly a significant event for us to stage. And then next year, we're hosting, again with our colleagues in Dublin, in 2017, the Women's Rugby World Cup. So 12 of the best countries in the world will come to first 2 weeks to Dublin to compete, and then what we call the business end of the event will take place in the second 2 weeks in August in Belfast. So along with the teams themselves, they have another kind of 30-odd entourage. We put tickets on sales for this And I think it's something like 34% of the total tickets sold to date for this World Cup. Again, it's not the biggest tournament in the world, are from out of state. So they're not being bought in Northern Ireland, they're being bought not on the island of Ireland, they're being bought across the UK, France, Italy, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, US. So again, those people are coming in, and it's the rugby clubs in those countries who are coming to support their women playing for their national team. So an incredible event to have. Again, I didn't touch anything, honestly. Nope, come back. Nope. Thank you. Okay, so, but the other difference in this event is so significant for us. It allows ourselves, along with our colleagues in Dublin, the Irish Rugby Football Union, to put a bid in for the 2023 Men's Rugby World Cup. Now, that's far enough out. Kind of fees are talking about £140 million it will cost. But again, that's what we're aspiring to. That's what we're looking at in relation to developing Belfast as a profile and basically Belfast's brand as well. So overall, we think we've got a decent enough, given our geographical size, back to the earlier slides, that we have a presence. You know, people do recognise us. Big international, national governing bodies, world bodies, recognise Belfast as a place to come to. So while it's a sporting event, we have fantastic conference facilities. We just invested £32 million in brand new conference facilities, and we're bidding for some of the biggest international conferences to go along. But part of that CV list involves the international events. It involves tall ships as well. So we feel we've now got a world audience. People recognise us. Now, of course, they may have recognised us for all the wrong things originally, but you know, it probably works in our favour in a very perverse, odd way that we have a profile. But what we're doing is basically changing those kind of negativities, those negative images, and putting our best foot forward as such. So I'm just going to finish off, and again, one last video, so pretty quick. This is just quick images from the Tall Ships race back in 2015. Thank you for Sail Training International for the opportunity to present. I'm sorry Max wasn't here. I'm sure he would have done a much better job. But it's a quick, short video, and appreciate your time. I'll go back. IT. Back up. There you go. Click the right button now. Thank you.
Thank you.